You've done a hell of a lousy job. I'm sorry, you're fired. Get out of here.
Is Jerome Powell about to get fired? Because behind the scenes, the pressure is boiling, and insiders are now saying he might not make it through the week. We've even seen betting markets light up with speculation of Powell's exit. This is not normal. Something big is brewing. And no, this isn't just political theater. The Fed is bleeding money, trust, and control. And the chairman is taking the heat. Let's talk about what really happened. Over the last 2 years, the Fed has hemorrhaged over $130 billion, its first operating loss in over a century.
And their $6 trillion plus bond portfolio is actually underwater by $1.1 trillion.
That's a $1 trillion black hole that's quietly turned the Federal Reserve into the biggest money-losing institution in America.
This has all the earmarks of the bankruptcy of the Silicon Valley Bank.
If the Fed were a private bank, it'd be shut down overnight. But because it prints the money, it gets to pretend it's fine. They've slapped the label deferred asset on the losses, essentially an IOU to themselves. Meanwhile, they're spending $2.5 billion on a luxury headquarters renovation, complete with rooftop gardens, designer marble finishes, private dining suites, and a sky bridge. You can't make this stuff up. And while the Fed burns cash, it's also paying commercial banks and money market funds hundreds of billions in interest just to park reserves. That's taxpayer money flowing directly to Wall Street, quietly. And now the politicians are circling. Bill Pulte, a Trump-appointed housing regulator, posted that he's encouraged by reports Powell is considering resigning. Russell Vought, Trump's former budget director, publicly accused Powell of violating the law with the Fed's extravagant headquarter remodel. Even nice guy Senator Tim Scott grilled Powell in Senate hearings over the ballooning $2.5 billion cost. This is not business as usual. It's pressure with intent. Powell promised a soft landing. Instead, inflation's still sticky. The markets are up, but shaky, and the Fed's credibility is fading. When confidence collapses at the top, everything below gets wobbly. And right now, the people who control the money are losing control of the narrative. But this isn't about just one guy. This is about a system that only works when people believe it works. We're $37 trillion in debt. Social Security's tapped out. Real rates are still negative. Even Powell admits the U.S. debt is an unsustainable path. Fed speak for this is a ticking time bomb. And the institution in charge of stability, it's destabilizing everything. Because here's the part they don't want you thinking about. What happens when the Fed itself becomes the risk? Think of the economy as a giant Jenga tower built on trust, and the Fed is the base. If that base starts wobbling, the whole tower, it sways. This isn't about left versus right or Powell versus Trump. It's about confidence versus collapse. And if the Fed caves to political pressure and cuts rates just to survive, it may save itself, but it'll reignite inflation. This is the corner they've backed themselves into. In 2022, a retired engineer in Palo Alto, names not public, but his story was picked up in multiple outlets, lost over 35% of his life savings. Not in crypto, not in stocks, but in bonds. The very thing he was told would protect him. He followed every rule, contributed to his 401k, shifted to bonds as he got older, and lived below his means. But when the Fed raised rates to fight inflation, his bond portfolio tanked. He wasn't chasing yield, he wasn't speculating, he was playing defense and still got smoked. He said, "I did everything they told me and I still lost 6 figures." And that's when it hit him. The game changed, but the rule book didn't. You don't fix this from the top down. You opt out from the bottom up. That means taking your future out of the hands of central bankers and putting it into something you control. Because when the people managing the money are losing the script, you don't want to be the one still playing by the old rules. If the Fed's house is on fire, you don't wait around inside, you find your exit. And if the Fed's obsession is interest rates, let me show you how the pros do it. You see, there's a 30-second hack that can give you up to $150,000 in funding at 0% interest. No banks, no gatekeepers, no begging. If you like low interest rates, you're going to love this. Check it out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.